I see a lot of people fear mongering when it comes to your Saturn return. As someone who is almost done with their Saturn return, I actually had a really good time. So let me tell you what I did in order to find success during the Saturn return. The first thing I did was address my romantic relationship situation, which was absolutely horrendous. I was making terrible decisions by staying with men who absolutely hated me. Okay, so I started there. I've been single for the last 2 years and I've only been on like 2 dates. And each time that I went on those dates, all 2 times, I realized that I wasn't ready. I was just I had so much anxiety when I would start talking to someone new. And that only happened twice, right? And I was like, no, like I need more time. I need to just focus on me and figure out what the fuck's going on in other aspects of my life because I can't handle this right now. And I just listened to my body because again, I just had severe anxiety talking to a man, even if they weren't like doing anything bad. I was just like, I don't think this is for me right now. So yeah, I haven't had any dating apps on my phone in almost a year. So I cut out the dating apps as well. And I'm just kind of like, if I'm going to meet someone, it's going to be at the local Albertsons, you know? The next thing I did was stay consistent with therapy. I've been in consistent therapy since 2021, like once a week. But it took about a year and a half, 2 years for it to really like take effect on my life. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, the sooner the better, because sometimes it can take depending on how much trauma you have to work through and depending on how stubborn you are and depending on how toxic your relationships are, it can take a minute to like have everything sink in. I just graduated to once a month for therapy. I know. The next thing I did was I just focused on art projects. I have certain projects that I work on and they make me really happy. And yeah, art. I started, if for all my spiritual woo-woo girlies, I started manifesting like new friend groups because when I left my toxic relationship, I feel like a lot of my friendships went with it. And so like I feel like everything just kind of disappeared after that. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I manifested new friend groups and to do that, I manifested new opportunities to meet people because I don't know, it's not really believable for me to just be like, universe, manifest new friends for me. That didn't really make sense. And so I was like, okay, can I have opportunities? Anyways, so I have like 2 new friend groups now since I did that, which is really exciting. I also got my routine together. So like I started taking like my financial literacy really seriously. Like I was like, okay, if I ever want to retire, I have to get like real serious about money. So I started like educating myself on financial stuff and started really getting like my health routine together, like started eating more vegetables. I know, but you know, started going to the gym more consistently because before it was like I was going, but just like not consistently. I set goals for myself. Like when it comes to like my social media, because I do like tarot and stuff, I'm like, oh, I want to be at this amount of followers by this time. Even if I don't meet them, it's like nice to set those goals for myself. Like it gives me something to look forward to, you know? And I also just like stopped getting mad at myself if something didn't work out. Like if I put out a piece of content that doesn't do very well, I don't like sit there and be like, oh my God, that was so horrible, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, oh, like people didn't respond to that as much. Okay, like I'll just try something different. Like I just don't like I pivot a lot more seamlessly now. I don't spend time hating on myself. I don't spend time ruminating on like what didn't work. I just kind of recognize it and then make a mental note and then just like push forward and move on. Yeah. And I talk about this all the time, like in my content and like on my lives, but I wouldn't have been able to do all of these things if I wouldn't have gotten rid of that first toxic relationship that I was talking about at the beginning. Like if I would have stayed doing like that whole back and forth situation, I'd be right where I was like 2-3 years ago. Basically, like don't let someone like seep into your brain. you know? Like toxic people, they'll get their claws in you and then they'll make you believe all sorts of things about yourself. And then you start self-sabotaging. Because like what I was doing was I was just like letting this person do whatever the fuck they wanted with me. And then I would like freak out. I was like, I didn't recognize myself like while I was in that connection. I didn't know who I was. Like I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, like who was that person? Unrecognizable. Very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. But yeah, I hope that helps. Hee hee.